Hi, everyone. Welcome to my little presentation called Understanding the Importance of Actively Managing Cash Flow in Your Business. And by the way, if you're a local business or a small business, I don't expect you know these things by heart. I don't expect you understand everything we cover. What I do expect is to give you the tools, the conversation starters that you can go to either your bookkeeper or accountant or whoever you trust as a mentor and ask them for help. So today we're going to talk about the Cash Flow Club. This is, after all, a presentation about cash flow. Cash Flow Club, at the end, I'll have an invitation. There's no pressure. If you want to join us, you're welcome. Um, so I'm going to cover sort of what we want to cover today, and we'll talk about a brief overview of cash flow management and why it's important. So here's the situation I see a lot of businesses in. Currently, they have financial challenges. And if you don't know if you have financial challenges or not, my question is, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night worried about your business? If you sleep soundly and your business isn't giving you grief, great. Congratulations. I promise you're in the minority. Celebrate. But if you're struggling, let's have a chat. So we'll talk about some of the current common financial struggles. Usually it's about getting enough cash in the door when you need it to keep the lights on. And really, truly, as I said, the impact of poor cash flow is sleepless nights. It's also the reason 96% of businesses don't survive to the 10-year mark. So I don't know about you, but personally, I don't like 4% as a success margin. I'd like to increase the odds. So the sad statistic is that the vast majority of the reasons business fail, it's not because it's a bad business, it's not because you've got a bad location, and it's not because you're not profitable enough. Almost always it's because your cash flow isn't coming in as fast as it should or going out as slowly as it should in the form of expenses. So the reality is just by being active and proactive and managing your cash flow, we can stack the odds in favor of you succeeding. So one of the conversations we have with our clients, and I want you to think about this as we go along, we always talk in terms of statements, and we start each of our statements with "I know with certainty how to." And either that statement is a yes, you agree with it, or it's a maybe, or it's a no. And for the record, if you don't understand the statement, your default answer is no. And basically what we do, we ask you, and you can just go down the slide here, answer yes, no, or maybe to each of these. And the more of these you say no to, the more stress I can tell you have in your business just because that's the way it works. So these are meant to identify areas we can improve. So I know with certainty how to increase my inbound cash flows. Yes, no, or maybe. How to accelerate my inbound cash. How to systemize my inbound cash flows. How to decrease my outbound cash flows. How to decelerate my outbound cash. How to optimize my outbound cash. How to manage my savings. How to manage my borrowing. And how to manage my investing. So if you have a bunch of yeses, congratulations, you probably don't need our help. If you still have stress, talk to us. We can figure it out. If you answered maybe to most of these, you might need our help, you might not. Really, you're not in enough pain, you're not going to solve it. So we'll let you decide if you want help. And if you're all no's, I'd strongly suggest just having a conversation with one of our certified cash flow club consultants. So when it comes to cash flow management, one of the aha moments I had is that a lot of business owners, they go into business because they're good at the thing their business is about. Sadly, that doesn't necessarily mean they know how to run a business. And by the way, if you're not actively managing your cash flow, it's more likely than not that you own your job rather than own a business. So cash flow management, you need to understand the cash coming into the business, the cash going out, and how to manage the balance between the two. So that's what we work on in Cash Flow Club is we have three core areas: inbound cash, outbound cash, and managing cash. So the reality is, I mentioned 96% of businesses fail, 4% succeed. Really, truly, I've not seen a company who manages their cash flow go under, and I've not seen a company who doesn't manage their cash flow survive. So really, in my decades of working with small business, local business, large businesses, the odds are against you if you're not managing your cash flow. Now, for what it's worth, I don't blame any business owner because nobody teaches this stuff. Unless you want to go to university and spend 4 years learning how to, getting a business degree and learning everything about business, you probably didn't do that. You probably had an idea. You went, I'm going to start this. Friends and family said, we'll help support you. Let's go. So what we do in Cash Flow Club is we focus on the most common. We've identified 9 core areas where we can help. And for each one of those 9 core areas, we've created internal tools that we use, and we share some high-level strategies. And what we're doing is gathering the data, and we're creating a library of real-life examples. And this is where, just as an example here, I saw a small business. They were struggling for years. They couldn't break 150,000 a year in sales. And once they started proactively managing their cash flow, literally we fixed a couple of tiny things. All of a sudden they had enough cash to grow. And within a 1 or 2 year period, they'd reached, I think it was the end of second year, they'd reached 3 million in revenues. And it was all because they managed their cash flow. So here's some of the benefits, not that this should be a surprise, but if you proactively manage your cash flow, and for the record, I'm okay if you don't work with us, but I'm not okay if you don't get help. So I'm going to encourage you to proactively manage your cash flow. And really what that does is it gives you increased financial stability and revenue, cash in the bank to be able to grow. It also helps you make informed business decisions instead of flying by the seat of your pants and just random gut checks. And basically, if you're able to do that, you're able to plan and forecast, which means you can grow your business if you want to. You can add team members. You don't have to lie awake at night worrying about your business. These are some of the words that we apply when somebody has intentionally managed their cash flow. This is stable. They can see growth. The owners have confidence. They feel in control. The business is efficient. It's profitable. There's more resilience in the team and there's more insight because here's the thing, when you're on fire, you're struggling to make your cash flow today, you're struggling to pay your bills, you're not going to be your most innovative, you're not going to be your most thoughtful, you're not looking ahead, you're just looking at the immediate threat in front of you. I promise you, we're all smarter when we look 10 feet ahead versus looking down at our feet. If you watch somebody walking, staring at their feet, they're likely to walk into a wall or trip. So I shared my little success story with a local trade. Literally, they were struggling doing roughly 150,000 a year in revenue, 2 partners trying to make ends meet, and they were working nonstop. They had young families, their spouses were getting frustrated. And what we realized was something really, really simple. We talk about increasing cash flow, we talk about accelerating cash flow. Um, they were doing anything in their field. They were electricians. If somebody needed a light bulb fixed, they'd drive an hour to get there to do a $50 job. What we started to do was we focused on bigger jobs, but more importantly, getting paid up front. And just by eliminating the little jobs and by getting paid faster, they were able to grow from that 150,000 to about 3 million. So when these young guys, and by the way, they were in their early 30s by the time they decided to sell. They were able to take millions in equity out, sell that business, and go start something else. They both decided they wanted different things. They split the proceeds of a $3 million business rather than having been in the position where before they were thinking about winding down and they were literally fighting over who owned which screwdriver. So it's a much better place to be. Now, the whole point of this is we want to help you. We want you to understand why cash flow is important. So I created some self-reflection questions, and I want you to take the time, pause the video here if you want, but ask yourself these 6 questions. The first question is, what excites you about the prospect of actively managing your business's cash flow? How is your life better for doing that? Second question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is effective cash flow management to you? And why isn't that number lower? So if you answered 1, by the way, then you and I weren't meant to work together. You probably don't want help. That's okay. But if you answered, say, a 3, why didn't you answer 2? Now, the third question is, imagine your business a year from now with that improved cash flow management implemented. What changes do you see around you, and how do they affect your business and personal life? I've seen many, many, many entrepreneurs who are struggling. They're fighting with their spouses, they're fighting with their kids. We fix cash flow, and suddenly they like their family better, and vice versa. So, what would that look like a year from now? Now, the next question, what specific aspects of your business or life might improve with better cash flow management? And then the fifth question, how does the thought of having a more predictable and stable cash flow align with your long-term business goals and values? And then finally, I never learn anything without implementing. What is one step you could take today towards better cash flow management, and what impact could that have? So that might be to go listen to something on our podcast. It might be to order a copy of our cash flow club playbook. It might be just, go back and look at your financials and see if there's room for improvement. So one of my favorite questions, I strongly encourage you to ask good questions. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. Ask yourself, how does this apply to me? In this case, this is the concept of cash flow management. Does it apply to you? Would your life be better with it? And for the record, it's perfectly acceptable to say, no, I'm good. I don't need this. But the key is we want to ask that question. Now, as we get near the midpoint of our slides, I want you to ask, what's your biggest takeaway so far? Have you learned anything that would make your life better or you could apply in your business? If not, maybe the biggest takeaway is a reminder to talk to your bookkeeper or accountant or talk to one of your friends, or as I said, go listen to one of our podcast episodes. Now, normally in a live presentation, I'd pause for questions. I'm going to encourage you, if you have questions, write them down, ask them in the comments below. This is a conversation, not a lecture. So if you've got questions, we've got answers. Now, one of my favorite ways to grow a business is through networking. So I've added 2 slides. One is networking icebreakers. The other is networking conversation starters. This is how you can have a conversation with anyone, whether it's your accountant, bookkeeper, another business owner, about cash flow. So one of my favorites, what's one financial lesson you've learned that's crucial for business success? Everybody likes to talk about their successes. This is a fun one. Next question is, how do you balance financial management with other business responsibilities? A lot of people say, I'm too busy to manage my cash flow. If you're too busy to succeed, that's okay. But really, truly, you can't succeed unless you manage your cash flow. So I would argue cash flow is your top priority. Next, can you share an unexpected financial challenge you faced and how you overcame it? I care more about how they overcame it than the challenge, so maybe you can tweak that. And the final little bonus icebreaker is, what is the best business advice you have received and how did it impact you? Now, I'm not going to read the networking conversation starters. This is kind of a bonus slide, but if you're in business and you're networking, do it well, do it right. Um, this specifically would be if you're interviewing potential candidates for accountant or bookkeeper, ask them these questions. And by the way, if they don't answer them, won't answer them, can't answer them, talk to us. We know a bunch of amazing accountants and bookkeepers who love talking about cash flow and will love to connect you with them. Now, we're going to share a couple of invitations. I promised you at the beginning we'd help you get some resources, get some guidance. So we have two ways that you can learn more about what we do at Cash Flow Club. Technically, there's three. I'll give you all three, but the first is we have our podcast, and you can learn about what we do by listening to the podcast. What we do is every episode we try to give a couple of practical things and at least one strategy. We want to give you instant, quick things. The second way is join our Cash Flow Club Mastermind. That's a paid group. You're welcome to click on the link there. Visit us at globalwellnesshq.com/cashflow club with dashes in between. We have all kinds of levels. We have all kinds of participation. It's considered a safe space for you to grow your business and meet other entrepreneurs and find ways to optimize your business and maybe tackle some challenges. The third way that's not on the slide is if you go to Amazon and you type in Cash Flow Club Playbook, we have a playbook. We update it at least once a quarter. And in that playbook, we share our best advice. Right now, it's getting thicker. I think we're over 100 pages, give or take. Our plan is to basically create a comprehensive playbook that local businesses, big businesses, can apply to their business today to grow. We want to see you succeed, so that's what we have. Now, I've listed some of my favorite books on cash flow. Mastering Cash Flow by my friend Craig Alexander is top of the list because Craig is just an amazing guy. The other people on the list are amazing as well. If you're really, really new to cash flow or new to business, I highly encourage you to read The Accounting Game at the very bottom there. It is so simple, but it shows you how to understand your financials. It shows you how to get help, and it gives you the conversation starters you can have with your bookkeeper or accountant. And of course, Profit First, Pandemic Cash Flow, and the Cash Flow Mindset are great resources as well. So, as I mentioned, we have some favorite podcasts. I love podcasts. We'd be remiss if we didn't put ourselves on the list. Pat Flynn has a great podcast, as does Jay Massey. So it's worth checking out. Learn as much as you can about business because nobody taught you. Now, the final thing, this is where we have our experts. We have friends, Robin Scobie, Linda Simpson, and Craig Alexander Rattray. They all do some form of active cash flow club. Robin and Linda run a cash flow club group. Craig has a group he calls Know Your Numbers. But other experts, Blaine Birch is the author of Pandemic Cash Flow. He also is the founder of Dry Run. Mike Michalowicz has written a whole bunch of books on how to help businesses succeed. And Alan M. Williams is a financial expert. So last but not least, I mentioned Dry Run as started and founded by Blaine Birch. It specializes in cash flow forecasting and budgeting. It makes it really easy. Even it was actually designed for artistic people. A lot of their clients run agencies, design agencies, things like that. Float offers real-time cash flow forecasting and management as Fathom provides financial analysis and cash flow reporting tools. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just three. And what I like to do if you're trying to figure it out, I like to go to my favorite search engine and I'll type in alternatives to X software, or I'll say, what other software does this as well. So I hope that was useful to you, and I look forward to meeting you either through our podcast, through our website, or through our playbook. So thank you, and I wish you all the success in your business.